So welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today Jill Mattson is back, and we are going to talk about shapes and how shapes shape your life. And Jill, I would like to briefly share my screen because I noticed something when I went to Abu Dhabi, and there I had the first, you know what I mean? This is Aldar headquarters. It's a building.
Okay, I've
Uh,
lost your picture, so I can't see your screen.
you cannot see my screen.
Mm-mm,
Wow, but you
mm-mm.
should be able to. Okay,
Hold on.
wait. I will.
Maybe save and start over. We just started.
I
Let me try to
start
get the
over.
picture.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. What happened?
Hmm. You can
Okay.
see.
No, I can't.
Uh,
Um,
how about this? How
chat
about
with
this?
thought? No.
Okay. Huh.
I don't even have many options. Uh, I might sign in again. Oh, wait a minute. There's a picture of a camera. Loud. No, it's not. It's Brave. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you see me now?
Nope.
Because I stopped the images. Yeah, maybe
Oh,
you
they're
go.
making me log in. Remember, I told you I got away with not logging in.
Yeah.
They wanted me to log in, and I did through Facebook. There we go. I'm back. I had to log in. They just weren't going to let me get away with it.
Okay, good. So I try one more time.
Okay, okay.
No, this is not the one. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
This is not the one from Abu Dhabi. This now is in China. And because after I saw this one, this is Aldar headquarters, it's an office building. It looks to me like a very luxurious, you know, powder compact.
Yes, yes. I can talk into these.
And
They're also energy machines. It's like feng shui on steroids.
okay. And another one, I just pulled up three. This
Oh,
is in
wow.
tape form. Yeah. So if you are interested in round buildings or,
Let me
um,
talk in. Are we alive or should I start or?
no, we are not live.
Okay,
So
I
I was
talked into
just
them.
I just wanted to know, do you think that this is just, you know, something for kicks, or do you think that there are, these are blossoms of real changes in
I think
architecture?
they're portals and they're like I don't think the pyramids were for shits and giggles, They were
Yeah.
for power. They were on energy lines, they had shape interferences, they were doing and uplifting their community. That's exactly what these other guys are doing. Now, I'm not sure about the third one because I just didn't recognize its waveform. So I can't really comment on that one, but the other two I can talk into.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you think we are shifting away from this rectangular and very or
Oh yeah,
square?
it's more than that. It's way deeper. It's that resonates with higher subtle energy. That is like a portal for transformation. I mean, that's creating. So when you get wave cancellation, higher energy comes through. That center of that circle, that little hole, and here's your biogeometry necklace. See the hole? And it's the same thing. It's oops, there goes my necklace. It's um, creating a portal with wave cancellation and bringing in higher energy. And so like the pyramids, for example, would serve function maybe as power for grid, for resonating with higher energies, for the, like there's all kinds of science studies on all the health benefits of being in a pyramid. So they're amplifying that. And they're amplifying the whole earth because it's on grids. And that one building was an earth grid pattern. So they're resonating with the earth grids. So it's more than the circle shape. It is a circle shape, but that one, so whenever you resonate with something on like an earth, a star, a system, it's kind of like you take the people's energy up an octave. You make them more powerful. So like if you're a God that sees outside of all time, you have more consciousness than you and me. And so they're creating resonance with higher structures. So yeah, I can talk into them. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. So when you say this is the portal, what does that mean exactly?
I think that 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimension, we're all interspersed. There's a dot, but then it's on a line, but then it's on a piece of paper, then it's in time. So they're nested. Okay, so we assume all dimensional energy is the same. I don't think it is, my opinion. And so if the energy of a dot is different than the energy of a line, it feels different. A dot's also a circle, and you can kind of infinitely go within, kind of make a portal, if you will. And when there's a shape, let's say like a circle, waves bounce off the edges, and some patterns cancel out, some build. So when you cancel them all out, what happens in that vacuum? And I believe that finer energy from a higher dimension comes through because there's no vibrational gate. So that's part of the reason why people build pyramids all over the earth, because it creates wave cancellations, and then it a higher energy, which means it uplifts us all. We feel good. You go to sacred sites, you feel good, and then you take this feel good energy, you put it on an earth current, and you spread it around the earth for blessings.
So what you said a word that I forgot what I wanted to ask. Doesn't matter. How did people find that out, canceling out?
I don't know. I have some theories on right brain, left brain. I think they were evolved, I think they were extraterrestrials that originally did this, and they had a higher science. I don't think it was his left brain, so we don't recognize it. But it doesn't mean it's not there. I mean, there's evidence of the results, even though we can't understand how they got there. It's kind of like we probably don't understand why you meditate 10 minutes a day and you add a life expectancy of 10 years. That's science. So in that stillness and that void, when we calm down our own vibrations, the ancient would say you're getting higher vibrations. There's the key. There's why you live 10 years longer. Can we prove that? Certainly not. We can't even measure that yet, but we can measure the results. And that's where biogeometry comes in, because they've measured the results, not the process.
Do you think that, for instance, in Abu Dhabi, this building that is powder compact, like, do you think they are fully aware of what they are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Just because, and we should be recording this, but yeah, I do, because of the shape. That's not a random shape. It's a power shape. Both of them.
Yeah. So the round one with the little hole in the middle as well in China. Does the CCP know that?
I don't know what the CCP is.
It's the Chinese Communist Party.
I would imagine so. The Russians are into it. Look at the Russians. They have pyramids all over the place. They're building them like crazy. That's not for aesthetics. They're uplifting their energies, and they're on location, energy locations. That's not a coincidence.
And what are the if I tried to find out what is the immediate, is there an immediate effect, or does it take a little bit of time before, let's say it's, yeah, you can feel the
I would
shift?
say it's accumulative, but
Mhm,
kind of like, let's say they build an airport a mile from your house.
mhm,
Science says the death rate's going to go up because of the noise pollution. Does
mhm.
that happen overnight? No. But as the planes and the noise and those frequencies, those high frequencies keep bombarding and spreading around, over time, the death rate goes up. You know, just like when you build a pyramid, it lifts the energy. It kind of slowly spreads out. And as long as that pyramid shape creates the energy. And if it's on an energy line, it's kind of like not stagnant, it's getting fed. So it's kind of like an energy machine without gas. It doesn't need gas, it just works.
Okay.
It's, you know, Tesla says if you only knew the energy of 3 seconds, it's tapping into that energy stream that maybe it's dark matter, maybe it's dark energy, but it's tapping into endless energy stream that Kepler and Tesla bragged about.
Mhm. And circling back to the term portal, but it is not a portal to into something else.
I think wave cancel. I think the portal is from that all dimensions are interspersed. I think I'm no scientist. I think that ninth dimension that you have dimension 1, dimension 2 aligned, dimension 3 a little house, dimension 4 in all of timeline, dimension 5, dimension 6, dimension 7, and dimension 8. So 8 is all the way through, just like that dot is in all those dimensions. I think it's interspersed.
Oh.
So if it's interspersed, when we down here with a physical body tap into that more complete higher energy, I believe it's very healing. And I think you can look at the thing to me that's really exciting about the biogeometry is that he got universities to study results, not his process. The process is still woo-woo, but the results are concrete.
So in other words, let's say people live in a round building, and then they did a long-term study.
Oh, the world's full of them. All over Europe, they've studied when you're on 2 negative lines. Like, let's say you have 2 earth lines cross underneath your living room chair. You go into your cancer wards, and almost everybody's on a double negative energy line. Yeah, it's a big deal on your health.
That is what dowsers also work with,
Well,
right?
that's why, and that's also why biogeometry is important, because they take, we should be online, because this is so, yeah, because so we don't have to repeat all this, but,
No, we are already recording.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we are.
Sorry. Okay. So when you're dowsing, like think of a water dowser. It is like a Y and a stick. So you take that Y and you, it shows you, yes, there's the water stream. No, there's not. That's
Yeah.
what we call dowsing. If you and I use a little dowsing rod, I got him right here, a little pendulum, it gives us a yes
Oh
or
no.
no. So it's like, it's measuring, let's say, let's use our imagination. It's measuring, like, say, this much is saying, yes, there's an energy stream. What biogeometry has done, Ibrahim Karim was in France, and he got a hold of the radiesthesiology, which would have been the dowsing done for, let's say, Notre Dame and the big cathedral. So you have this whole line of sacred geometry, perhaps coming from Temple of Solomon with Knights Templar and, you know, Cathars, and down these places. They're preserving this knowledge, in my opinion, of mining positive energy that's good for humanity. And they're they have very sophisticated dowsing. So although our dowsing today, even though it's woo-woo, it's still measuring something like this. The ancients were measuring something like that. They're measuring the height and the width of a wave, its charge. They're measuring components of this energy stream, which is, it's like a world apart. And Dr. Karim, an Egyptian, says that his dowsing rods, let me see if I have one here. That's all they do. Yeah. His dowsing rods are found in shapes with the pharaohs. So he's saying the Egyptians did this, and some of the sticks that they were holding were not our dowsing rods, but the more subtle dowsing rods. And that's important because he's not saying that positive and negative, that negative's evil or bad. He's saying positive and negative or positive and negative. And if you get too much of either, you get sick because we need balance. So like if there's a positive earth energy crossing underneath your bed, you're going to be in health trouble over time. If there's a negative one, you're also going to be in trouble over time. You need balance. And so like my Homa Power book, I'm going in and it dovetails with his, but it's all over the earth, like feng shui, Vasta Shusta, all these ancient religions. They have tools and they tell us how to map positive energy in our houses and locations. Problem is, these ancient people are measuring their location. So you'll find that like in feng shui, same thing as biogeometry with the old stuff and the details, they're measured, what the instructions are in North China are different from that of South. They're not wrong, neither one of them, but they're different locations. And so we are taking whatever piece of feng shui we get, doesn't matter, but it's for another location and another time. And then we use it in New York City or Australia. I mean, it's like, because we don't know how to do it in the first place, because we don't know the more subtle correspondences, we're kind of, we're using a template that's, maybe 60 to 90% effective, whereas you can get right in there and do 100% for your time, for your location, for your history. Think that going to Auschwitz feels different than going to Machu Picchu. And that's because of what happened there. So like if you're going to build a house and you got a garbage dump next door, you're going to want to cancel some energy from the dump. And you can do that.
And how do we do that?
Well, there's a million different ways. One of the ways I do is I look at every frequency, every negative frequency as a frequency. So let's say it's 10 cycles per second. Well, 1/10 cycles second cancels it out. So on the realm of music, that takes care of it. Biogeometry would do it different. He has his little fancy pendulums and he's going to measure them positive and negative. And you can even measure the vertical, the height. You can measure all these little details and then you reroute it with shapes, little shapes. So this necklace, this is biogeometry. Look at the shape. Okay, it's a circle, but if you look closely, no, hold on.
Yeah.
There's little shapes. Those are shapes that are dowsed from the organs in your body to clear the meridians. So he can't prove that this energy even exists. Perhaps it's dark energy, perhaps it's dark matter, but he can show that this necklace right here works better than medicine and a handful of alternative methods for healing, kind of modern healing, energy healing. This works better according to science. Can't prove how it works. We have to take their word and all the ancient things. Now we have to take the word because we are not sophisticated. I mean, we're just really measuring some of these big energy lines like your chakras, let alone these details of the subtle energy. And so we have techniques to go in to measure the energy, to use shapes, colors, sounds, music, textures, items to reroute it, let's say in your house. And like in this book, I even go like, pick a goal. I want a relationship. I want more money. I want this. I want that. Build it into your home. It's a frequency. So, you know, it's the art of managing our environment, making an energy machine around us is just birthing. And I want to go back in. I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't know we were live. I just thought we were chit-chatting. But so I want to go back in and cover a couple of those answers just a little bit more thoroughly. The whole idea about tuning to the cosmos. So the idea about a dimension in a dimension, you can, everything is like got similar layers that resonate together. So you can look at it, music, C, different higher octaves. And so let's say in the third dimension, we go C, we live in this range. But the ancients always tuned way up here. So they're tuning to the night sky. They're celebrating. They taught us to celebrate equinoxes, solstices, like the rhythmic beats in a huge song that's 10,000 lifetimes. So they're like almost like breathing and trying to have the perspective of, let's say, being in our solar system where one in-breath is day, one out-breath is night. They're going up an octave, and they're seeing more consciousness in the bigger picture. And when they're up here and have that expanded consciousness, they would teach that if anything that expands your consciousness right here and now and makes you more bigger, more accessible, more powerful, healthier, more in control, more of a master. So you see, they're always trying to get these higher energies into our consciousness to stream. It's like, what is ascension? What is evolution? Well, enlightenment, you know, they're kind of wishy-washy about them when they describe them, but I believe they're talking about channeling these higher energies. And when you look at dissonance, for example, dissonance being disease, being evil, whatever you want to call it, neutral. I mean, not neutral, negative. But so when you look at dissonance on a low scale, on the voice octave of my voice, there's one or two note positions on like a piano that create dissonance. It's a half step. And, you know, a minor third's a little sad. But when you start going up octaves, there's such, how to put it, there's in the first octave, you double the tones to get the second octave. So you go from 1 cycle to 2 cycles per second, you get up an octave. 2 to 4, you get up an octave. 4 to 8, you get an octave. 1,000 to 2,000, you get an octave, but there's 1,000 difference. So when you're in these higher dimensions, the difference between the smallest, what we would call a music note, is now 1,000 frequencies apart. And you have to have them like this to create dissonance. So the more dimensions you go up, the less chance there is of dissonance, of negativity, of positive and minus, of you and me versus us together, if that makes any sense. So as you go up in higher energy, polarity drops out, negativity drops out, and you get our ideas of heaven. Maybe think of heaven as all the data. You know, when I think of heaven, I'm not enjoying a pumpkin spice latte. You know, probably doesn't even it's probably not a thing there, you know, so much. I mean, it's data more than a pleasure, you know, because they're not in the polarity where when you don't have and then you get it, oh, didn't that feel good? You know, they don't have that. They have everything, and it's a different energy. But we here, if we're sick or something and we can somehow create a whole through singing, through colors, through music, through shapes, then we create our own sacred space. So with China doing that whole, I mean, it is almost identical to this necklace. And the idea is that in that circle, the wave cancellations create that portal. Now, one thing different on this necklace in that building. See this? See this? There's a hole. So
Yeah,
this necklace has like a canal
a
to let
gap.
that energy spread around me. Now
Ah,
that
okay.
didn't have that canal. This is
Mhm.
probably a better design, but it's still creating the portal. Now the one with the that you showed me with the earth grid on it. All right. If they're accurately creating that earth grid in a building, that entire grid resonates with the earth. So we tend to think of resonance as I play G, and over here's a violin with a G string, and nobody touches it, but it sings G, because on the same frequency, energy transfers. And that's how energy works on these higher dimensions, not like our left brain, not logical or sequential, like resonance. So just an aside, like, how does resonance work? We line things up, but think of maybe a football game, a rugby game, some sport game, and everybody's got different colored jerseys. So team A's red, team B's green. But when they're running around that field all kind of chaotically, we all know the reds working together, and we all know the greens working together. That's resonance. That's quantum physics. So you see these particles all over the place, and this charge still relates to this charge. They're still on the same team. They still resonate.
Mhm.
So, and we tend to think of resonance as one pitch. Resonance also a shape. We see it, the ancients are showing that, but the pyramids are all over the earth. They're creating lines. They're like phone home. They're like machines that are contacting each other. And when they create those energy lines on the earth, they lift up the whole planet. So when you have this building with the earth energy lines, it's not just a frequency that resonates with a frequency. It's this song or this vibrational matrix, this pattern of sounds from the natural earth grid to this building. And the whole song resonates, the whole grid resonates. And because our earth is bigger and higher and more powerful, you create this in this building, and this building's going to resonate with the entire earth. And there you go. There's the higher dimension, the consciousness of the earth. There's the resonance. And if you look over and over at ancient practices, they're getting people to resonate with the stars, with cosmic moments, with dawn and sunset. They're, with cycles of years and age, 2001, they're celebrating things on a much bigger cosmic level to promote their enlightenment, not just of them, but of all of them. And that's what that building with the earth grid does. That resonates with the earth, ancient technique to lift up.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting that they put an office building into it. It's basically offices that you can rent for your
Well,
company.
think of feng shui. Okay, over here, the Trump Towers, the
Mhm.
Trump Towers are all feng shuied because those builders want to make money and they want it to feel good. So they tied into the ancient techniques to improve their chances of raising their income.
Mhm.
I mean, just this ancient stuff is powerful. It's not good or bad. I mean, Hitler was into it. He was searching and using and pursuing these ancient concepts to tip the war scale in his favor. So just because you can do good things with them, they're more neutral. If they want to bring down those powerful energies so they personally make more money, then that's what they're doing. They're also lifting the energy around them. So you can go to Trump. I didn't know because I live near Atlantic City, and you could go to Trump Towers where you had feng shuied it. And again, that works, but it would work better if they had known about feng shui for Atlantic City, not Western China. It would have been better, but even still in its dumbed down fashion, it feels really good. So he
Mhm.
might be using it to make money, but it also lifts the area. I guess maybe their primary goal is their pockets, but it spills out if it's
Yeah.
energy machine.
I have only seen the Trump Tower in New York City. But I have to say, and that has been so many years ago that I was in there. But at that point, I have to say, no matter what you think about Trump, it really felt good entering there.
He uses feng shui. That's why it
So,
works.
yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. So why is it that I need a different type of feng shui in China than in the US?
Okay.
How is that connected?
Okay. You're balancing everything in feng shui. You're balancing the earth. So the soil, let's say in Western China, is different than that of Manhattan. You've got different minerals, you've got different crystal content, you've got different water levels. The soil in a desert's much different than that of a rainforest. So when you're balancing the elements, you're balancing the wind patterns, you're balancing the earth currents. So, when they're maybe giving instructions in ancient feng shui, they might be talking about their area, their soil, and also their history. Like, let's say they're balancing in an area where there was a war. Well, you want to kind of cancel out some of those frequencies, which is different than, let's say, you're building a feng shui, you're feng shuiing a building near a sacred site. Then you want to capture those energies. And, so they're going to do things like face your buildings and directions and stuff according to sunlight. And they're also going to be paying attention to time. So in ancient times, they're hooking up to when the star systems are right above. They're aligning with the stars in that cosmic octave kind of idea. And of course, they change over time. So what's different about China and New York? Well, the soil, the air, the direction, the elements of earth nearby, the people, their attributes, the history. Western China is not going to have the water that Manhattan does. So when you're balancing all these things, it's unique. And Dr. Kareem, like when he goes, he did a couple studies where he went into towns in Switzerland, I believe, that had a lot of illness due to heavy Wi-Fi, etc. And he built shapes and he put them like in the top of the churches. He's dowsing. So he's dowsing all the negativities and he's building these funky, huge life-size shapes. But each one is different in each town. So the one in this town and this 2 hour, I don't know how far apart, they're both in Switzerland. It's not that big. So they're different. He's not manufacturing the same one because even a couple hours apart, they're different. He's balancing right then and there. And so like I did my house and even before I had taken biogeometry, so I did it on my own. So I'm dowsing the map with the older dowsing kind of things. I'm finding the negative currents and I'm that's unique to my home. And so I looked at the feng shui and I modified it. I looked at the Vastra Shustra, I modified it. And then I can kind of anymore hear shapes, hear sounds coming out of shapes. So like a square is more like a C and a rectangle, the longer it is, the deeper the pitch changes, like a musical instrument. And so I'm beginning to hear sounds coming out of my shapes. So I'm altering everything so that it's harmonious for this house, for this ground, for my family, for my dogs, for my neighbors, da 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 da. And it's delightful.
That sounds as if it is not only a lot of work. I don't mind working, but you need to have a certain amount of knowledge. What you are.
There it is.
Okay, wonderful. So are there shapes that work no matter what?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Pyramids are a good one. Look at science. Off the top of my head, I don't know, your wounds heal better, you're more psychic. I mean, they have lists, scientific verified, of health improvements by going into a pyramid. You don't even need the shell. You can even have just an outline because of the wave interference patterns. Circles, and I list them all in my book. I go down all the shapes, sacred geometry. I have a whole chapter on shapes, because, how to put it, there's a lot of variations of blessing and good. So like you can think of all the rainbow colors as each giving us a blessing, but they're very different. You can think of each flower in our world as a blessing, but a daisy feels very different than a rose.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really sorrowful, maybe you need that daisy. If you're not feeling good about yourself and feeling like, you're old and decrepit, maybe you need the rose. So you can use shapes. Yes, there's a ton of shapes that are just flat out good for you, but you can use them in places and according to what you want or who you are or what's good for you at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, in other words, I mean, there are hundreds of books about Feng Shui, and that would mean it does not always work. The general.
Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't work. I would say if you're not using it in the same location and time, its
Mhm.
effect it's becoming less potent.
Oh, okay.
Okay, whereas I'm saying I don't think it was this is hard. It's very simple and easy to understand. So it's not like you need to be have a college degree in this. You can build for yourself, and not just for feng shui is to have positive balance or energy flowing through your house. So I'm saying you can also, if you have heart health, if you have a heart problem, you can build a room that creates a frequency for a healthy heart. If you have an ADHD kid, you can build a room that's a calm down room. I mean, you can start to orchestrate these frequencies. Think of each frequency is assigned to an emotion. So you can go through your house and say, okay, I want a joy room. I want a pick me up, encourage me, vitalizing room. And I want a sleep room. You can go through that way. There's so many ways to do it. You can design your space to give you what you want because your space influences you.
Mm-hmm. What if we only have one room? I mean, there
Yeah,
are people who basically have one
absolutely,
room and
absolutely. Um, I would let my body decide. Now, okay, how to put this? We're body, mind, soul, emotions and thoughts, and if we have all these feelings, I know from sound healing that the hardest ones to change are your physicality. Can it be done? Absolutely. You can now go to a bone doctor and they'll give you a little sound machine. It's the frequency of your bone. It'll cut down the healing time in half because your bone absorbs it and heals faster. The sound literally reconstructs the sound pattern of a healthy bone. And, oh, look at that kitty. And voila, you've got a healthy bone. So when it comes to correcting things in your body, the more solid, like let's say a liver that's failing, you have that's solid matter. That's going to take more sound, more time, more energy, more volume to heal than, let's say, a hurt feeling, because the hurt feeling's more fluidable. It's easier to shape, control, and balance. So I would go in and let your body choose what's the highest space for you. And one of the ways I do that is I personally turn my body into like a pendulum. So like I've trained myself so that is this good for me? And I've trained myself so that a yes is forward and a no is backwards. So sometimes I'll even go in and douse using me as the pendulum. because I think my body is conscious. I think my body's smarter than I am. I think my body knows that I'm unconscious of it mainly. And I'm not smart enough to know the other way around most of the time. But I think, well, I know because I look at sounds. Your body releases endorphins when it gets what it needs. So if you can mute yourself, if you can feel really sensitively, then you can go around and rather than using music or biogeometry, you can go around your house and use feelings. So you would pay attention to lines, to shapes, to colors, to little things, little objects or decorations or shapes to route energy, and work on feelings and let your body prioritize it. That's what I would do if I only had one room.
So we do have a lot of people that, I mean, there's also in alternative medicine, let's say homeopathy, and people always say, then, yeah, you have to believe in it. It's just placebo. So would you say, according to your experience with it, is it necessary that we believe it, or could it also work on somebody that says it's total hokum?
Absolutely, it's invasive and it's going to work on someone who's totally hokum. However, my understanding, my belief is that any type of healing or miracle is enhanced by the receiver.
Yeah.
Like you look in the Bible and you see the story where some lady crawls behind Jesus, has got some blood disorder, I think, and she touches his robe and is healed. She doesn't even touch him. And he turns around and he says, your faith has made you well. He didn't say, I did anything. He said, you just believed this was going to happen. You did this. And I think that's how it is. I think you can create this energy machine. And the thing about the home or music, because my music does the exact same thing. Each one of my music comes in and provides, like starlight, provides earth currents, provides patterns that heal, provides portals. I mean, I'm doing that in all my music. So you play it, everybody relaxes and they start to subconsciously heal. But if they understand and are open to, I can change with this aid, it happens faster. Because I think, like, let's say I love you dearly, but you're not, like me. Subconsciously, even, you kind of do this. You can give me the cold shoulder, you can brush me off, you can kind of glaze over. And when you do that, you're kind of protecting yourself from me. Or I can say, I really love you, and you're wonderful. And then even in that body position, I'm opening up chakras. I'm closing chakras. So, and when you embrace it, you amplify it. Because waves combine. And healing, intent, receiving, all combine with the healing energies in our environment. And the other thing that combines is your sense of self-worth. Like, I think most people have deflated solar plexus and sacral chakras because they've been told in so many ways, you're not enough. This one's better. You should have done that. You ought to have done that. Why didn't you? You're no good. And they internalize it. And furthermore, then they internalize anything they want. Like, I'm too selfish to have that piece of pie because the whole world's going to starve if I take it. It's so we dishonor ourselves and we deplete ourselves. And if we feel worthy of healing, I think that makes a very big difference. If we can clear the lies, and I even have music for that because I researched, it's not my idea, I have to credit Pythagoras. So what the Pythagoreans did was that they looked at the whole healing through octaves. So there's octaves of feeling, the touch, of thought, of biogeometry, of shapes, of all these different ways, but they went through feeling octave. So if you don't worry, no ulcer. And there's the physical emotional link. And they had, again, 1,000 years or so ago, they were more tribal. They weren't quite as individual. It's like everybody in the tribe's going to look kind of similar, be kind of similar, to a more exaggerated extent than groups are today. And they were creating music for each tribe. So the Catholic Church stole their music, but they didn't know what they were stealing. They made a mess of it. So it's incorrect. But in its correct proportion, what they were doing is that they were moving portals in the music to balance personality groups. So the Dorian scale that the Catholic Church took, and it's not the Great Dorian scale, but nonetheless, they kept the name. That's an island for people that had a certain emotional stature, and they were balancing it. So what happens today is not only do we not have self-worth, but as we accumulate and hide pain, we numb. And our body doesn't numb like all this negative stuff. It numbs feelings. So when you've had a lot of pain and you just kind of cope, you're numb and you don't feel the positive stuff. So the music I have, it's called the Healing Flower Symphonies, Volume 1 and 2. And I took 12 emotions that the flower remedy guy, Emin Bach, said were emotions for humanity. I didn't know how to pick. I let him pick. And then I created like fear to trust. And the music will find where you've hidden fear, and it'll feel uncomfortable for a second. Voila, that's its gift. It loosens it, and then it lets it free. And I have demonstrated this, again, just empirically on a nursing home. I played for about 6 months this music, and they went from not talking to chatty Cathys in 6 months, because the music was designed to take the whole range of negative emotions, find them, and release them. And it took about 6 months. You have to listen and feel a lot, because your body won't release too much pain at once, because pain sticks with negativity and toxins, and you can't have too many at a time. So when you start to slowly feel, release your emotions, you feel them on the way out, then as you lighten up your load, then you begin to feel. See, half the people, not half, but a large percentage of people that I know, they don't feel, because they've had these incredible things in their life that have been so painful, and they just stuff them. And part of this healing with shapes is that we need to regain our sense of feeling and our sense of trust that we're safe, that we're masters in our world, that we're worthy. And I think all of that has a lot to do with how potent any energy treatment is, whether it's going to the doctors, whether it's, like you said, homeopathy, whether it's music, whether it's biogeometry, whether it's feng shui. I think when we open ourselves up and honor ourselves, we can receive. And when we feel that safety, that somehow or other life has conspired to teach us lessons to help us, then really you can really suck up this energy and feel to a much greater degree what it's doing to you.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate now.
Okay, you're good at that. Okay.
I love it. I absolutely love it that we have all this information, and I think it should be more out in the open. It should be public knowledge, because the way I see it, it would give us a tool to get rid of a lot of our problems that we are having here. Yet at the same time, while all this knowledge is emerging, everything is going to shit. That many people are fearing that we are having a third world war, and on it goes. So what say you? Are you fearful
I got
of
a new
the
book
future?
coming out to answer that question.
Okay.
It's called Music of Time. And again, my knowledge source is just reading antiquity and believing them and dovetailing that to quantum physics and today's knowledge. So The book is all on time, and all of the ancient societies, they mapped time in big, so like you have the ancient Chinese, the ancient Hindus, all of them, the ancient Egyptians, they're mapping what you call 26,000 year cycles.
Yeah.
Cycles of our universe going around, and of our solar system going around. And think about it. Think as you move from here to here in the galaxy, stars hit you from different angles. If you think about all the stars and they all create waves, as you move through all these other kaleidoscopes of things giving off frequencies, the wave patterns are going to change.
Mm.
The ancients have them mapped out. You can read about it in Hindu and American Indians and all over the place. They have these huge cycles of time, and they talk about the frequency, the essence, and the quality. And one of the things I present in my book is that they follow the mathematics of a harmonic cycle. What's a harmonic cycle? If you make a sound, it has an after ripple if you listen really careful. You go into a church and you sing a note and you hear it really good as it bounces off. And it's kind of like as the sound ripples out, the pitch changes, and it's called a harmonic, and it's like a portion of the whole tone. And as it goes through 16 cycles, and they're harmonious, and each cycle gets less and less. And towards the end of the cycle, I mean, it's real crap, terrible, ooh, just awful. And then it blends into the new cycle or the new golden age. So like the way they describe time more as an energy. And you can have like, that's like with the sticks in China, you know, they're not telling you who to marry. They're telling you a time period in which energy is, you're going to be at your best to attract the best, for example. They're more describing how energy is going to affect you, not your choices. And but they're describing the effects of time. You look at Nostradamus, you look at John the Beloved, all these soothsayers, you know, they're all telling about apocalypse now, because it's after the 2012. We're going out of 126,000 year cycle, and we're going into the new. And I'd like to suggest that, you know, night to dawn is not like switching on a light switch. You get a little bit of light, little bit of light, little bit of light, little bit, and the darkness fades. So to me, my way of thinking, 2012 is here. And so as the light builds, and when you've got a 26,000 year period, if you take this time period and liken it to, let's say, the time period of percentage of dawn in a day, it's going to be about 36 years. So you've got a period in which it's going to get absolutely worse, and all the old's going to fall. So the ancient people would predict when, not just when Apocalypse, you know, by John the Beloved and let's say Revelations, but you know, they predicted the fall of the Druids. All these ancient societies were predicting their falls at a given time, because when the wave cancellations from space and on these bigger places are positioned in our journey around, when we hit a bunch of negative waves, stuff collapses. And when you look at ancient predictions of time waves, I mean, there's periods of growth, fall apart, growth, fall apart, and it resembles a harmonic, so they keep getting closer and closer together. So I believe we're at the end of the cycle, just like they say, and there's this thread of negativity, and it's not just negativity of now, it's negativity of the past. So like you go to Auschwitz, I mean, you can feel what happened there during World War II. It's in the ground, and it's not just there, it's all over. So you have violent weather patterns, you have people not getting along. And when you go up an octave, it's kind of like the negativity, it can't hide, it can't exist, because we talked earlier about how you go up there, and it's very hard to get negative in a higher beta frequencies. So it becomes visible. So the organizations that got away with crap, that lied, that had power over us, and it was from selfish, maleficent purposes, it's just all coming out. So it appears like it's the worst, although that's been there for maybe a millennia or more. It just wasn't in our face. but it's kind of like, to me, the chaos of the time, energy, frequency of time is like my music, Healing Flower Symphonies. It's going in there and it's finding pockets of negativity and it's releasing them. Because if we're going to go up to a next octave, we have to let go of our old crap. Gotta go. And I think that's happening. And so I think the best thing to do, of course, is to start to tie into the light and the higher energies and the frequencies, the harmony and the balance. Because as you go up in frequencies, so here's another analogy. Let's say, I'm making this up, okay, for analogy. Let's say World War II, Winston Churchill, give him a 500 light energies, and he's pretty evolved for his time, not for today, for his time. He could tip the war being a 500. Let's say you're a 700 right now. The light workers, in my opinion, on the earth today are quite powerful. They're packing a punch. So let's say I'm a low life and I vibrate at 10 cycles per second and I have epiphany and double. Now I'm 20, but it's a 10 cycle per second difference that the world gets gifted with because I'm part of the world. Whereas if you double, it's 700 cycles per second. So I think light workers, we tend to think we have to do this or this or this goal. I'm saying the goal is you. You're the product. And when you start to radiate on those higher octaves, receive, honor yourself, honor your life, honor challenges as like a GPS. And when you start to do your house like this, so you every time you walk in, you lift up. When you start to do that path, you make a huge difference. And I think that's the time period. We're in this crossroads where, there's really scary negativity, but the light's going to win. And that's our listeners.
Yeah. So another question. Do you have any insight if these principles could also support somebody that is trying to get rid of, let's say a nasty addiction, whatever it might be?
Well, for addiction in specific, there was a bunch of scientific studies done in American universities on which frequencies in your brain wave you had to be at to alleviate addictions. I'm sure you can do this on many other octaves. I'm just not aware of the studies. I'm aware of this study. So let's talk about how frequencies in your brain matter. So, think that your head is kind of in the way of sound waves. So if someone were to whisper in this ear doesn't get it. But we evolved for, let's say, I'm making this up because I don't know, 100,000 million, I don't know however long humans evolved. We did not evolve with headphones. So we're used to hearing, all around. So it's very unusual to hear only in one ear. And that only happens when you're close to this ear because your head's in the way for this one to get it, to get the frequency. So the Tibetan monks had this great technology where they would go ding, ding. And so your frequencies come in and your brain hemispheres get them. They operate in opposite ways. So when you get like ding, ding in low octaves, it doesn't seem to work in higher octaves, ding, ding, more like, you subtract the waves. So the left brain hemisphere, let's say, will have 10 cycles per second. This one's getting 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. So within maybe a minute, your brain is operating in the difference at 5 cycles per second. Now, that's important for two things. One is you've just introduced whole brain functioning, which gives us greater mental capacities because we're using everything we got rather than one or the other. And it makes it a habit the longer you do this. And then the other thing is 5 cycles per second is a very deep brainwave, and it takes us into theta and gamma, and this is where psychic phenomena occur. This is where your body repairs and you go into homeostasis. So the universities had been measuring at which cycle per second what things happen. And there's I think in my Ancient Sounds Modern Healing book, I list a ton of these studies. but they have identified certain cycles per second for addiction. Isn't that interesting? So I would imagine meditation would help for addiction, but like I have these sound light machines on my website, and they're all of them, they're mocking the Tibetan technology, but I would say that you could go in there, find a study, find out what cycle per second your brainwave is at. And there is science-based research saying that when you reside or are able to maintain that frequency, you can let go of addictions. And then that's a kind of a technical science way. Another way, addiction is putting all your, I only get better if I get this energy out there. I need that alcohol, I need that drug, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It could be, you collect pens, I don't know. But I need this thing out there. And when you meditate, kind of meditating on everything I need's in here, the honoring of self, because I think we've trained ourselves to be weak and needy, and we can pull that back. And meditation, music, colors, but there's many there's many ways to balance and to pull that back in. And some science that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's more, but that's what I'm aware of.
Yeah. So in about that building in Abu Dhabi, you said that is feng shui on steroids. So I have never been in there because it's not a hotel. As I said, it's an office building. And so let's say there are areas in this building where the rooms then again are square or rectangular again. Would that cancel it out? Or
It could. So like look at the older civilizations. Look at the American Indies. Their kivas are the name of their spiritual buildings around. And I think some of the ancient American Indian elders have said the square boxes they put us in kills us. And when you really go back far, a lot of people were using the square shape. The circular shape, the dome shape, for buildings because it's more feminine, it's more feeling based, and it creates a different frequency pattern. And again, the cancellation would be in the center, but nonetheless, the whole sphere is more gentle, more feeling based, more flowing. So when you look at older music developing, okay, I'm almost kind of using my imagination here. I'm saying, let's say we were all androgynous and we're involving in, and we want to make male and female. So you would make the males, they would live in square buildings. They bump, bump, bump. The rhythm patterns would be 1, 2, do, do, like marching in line. I'm tough guy kind of a thing. And the women, if you wanted to make them more, you would have them in circular buildings and then bump, 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 dun, 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 and swirling and nurturing. And you could create somebody to be more action-oriented male or some female-oriented, simply by music. And in fact, in some of, I think it's the Eskimo cultures, they had 2 versions of songs. So they would have for the girls and the boys. So they would take their songs into bump, 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 bump for the men, for the little boys, and the little girls, do, 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 do. The third, the rhythm, the circular, the movement. And so do I think circular shapes would make a difference? Yes. And that I think when we look at the real pre-flood history, we see some matriarchal societies, with the woman in charge. And often when you see some of those structures, or even people talking about them, they're circular, and then when we kind of, we're in a world of duality. So we have a feminine era in time, we have a masculine era in time. And so in the beginning, the feminine is beautiful. Towards the end, it gets abused. In the beginning, the masculine might be beautiful. Towards the end, it gets abused. Well, we're in the end. And is it abused? Yeah, it is abused. Of course, the women was too. But nonetheless, here's another thing. It's like, I think we go through cycles, and to learn a lesson, we need to learn all the phases of it, all the attributes, all the angles of a cycle. So let's say I want to learn about abundance. So then I'm rich, I'm wealthy, like the United States in the 40s, Coca-Cola, the GM Motors, all these companies, we're getting rich, we're getting rich. And then how do you learn the other side of that? Well, that's the Great Depression. Everybody's poor. And so we're in duality. So if you're going to learn about abundance, you learn both sides of the coin. And people say, well, what's the virtue in being poor or starving or hungry? And all I can say is that if you've never been hungry, how can you ever have compassion for someone who needs food? Even though all you do is get by in a lean time, you may not be aware of the fact that your heart got bigger because you've expanded your consciousness. And the next time you meet someone who's in that situation, you're like here. You've been altered, although you maybe not even be consciousness that you have expanded. So in a world of duality, it's kind of like the negative and positive are balanced. And it seems to me that consciousness, we go through these cycles, and you have the good cycle and then it ends and you see the negative side of the coin. And sometimes we overcome it, sometimes we endure it, but it always, in that balance, it makes us wiser. I don't know.
Yeah. You talked about the different songs for girls, boys, and it makes total sense to me. But how do you see this attack that is going on right now? Everybody can now be a woman, or everybody can declare she is a man. And is that confusion deliberate?
Well, I think on some level we involved into Earth. And when there's no fact here, okay? But we involved into Earth, and I sometimes feel we are androgynous. And which means we're action oriented and feeling oriented. We all have male and female qualities, but
Yeah,
we're
sure.
sort of a balanced thing. And I feel like maybe we separated out as we involved into matter. We're in a dual world, so our personalities kind of became more dual, more masculine, feminine, and maybe we thought when we came back together, wahoo, we're home again, but like sex or marriage or something like that. But then that was kind of challenging too, getting along, and we had to overcome things. And so we get this journey where we're learning to harmonize dissonance. And we can see that in music, because like in the 20s, the roaring 20s, jazz was the music of the devil. Well, now it's like music to buy carrots with in the grocery store. It's innocent, it's not even naughty. And so because we harmonized it, because it had one dissonant interval. And now, like, you look at Vanilla Ice or some of these other, hard metal musics, it's got so much more dissonance. And I believe that the time is resonating to allow musicians to create music that matches the time, and that the dissonance can even be like a pump going in and cleansing up, stirring up negativity for the purpose of letting it go, if we choose. And so where were we going on this? So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily attack or whether it's confusing to have all the sexual options that there are.
Yeah, my
Maybe we're going
point
back.
is especially manipulating children.
I don't understand that. I just have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't work out. Maybe it's an experiment gone awry. Maybe we're going to be androgynous. I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, because my take on it is let be children.
Children aren't ready to choose, in my mind.
Yeah, there's no need to teach 3-year-olds in kindergarten how to masturbate. Why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, not ready, not time.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, so there is a very, very aggressive and destructive part to that whole agenda. And
And
just
let me say something else. I think everything in duality has that positive and negative. I think every religion came in with incredible beauty, and it ended up with incredible horror. Same with governments, same with everything. We're in a world of duality. And if you get something good going, you get that thing over here that's negative, and maybe by staying neutral or believing in honoring ourselves or clearing out our energy fields, like those healing flowers, they will clear out your emotional fields. And then after a while, we don't resonate with some of that stuff. So if we can resonate more with the higher energies, it's kind of like the world goes like a zoom right up. And to me, to be part of the solution is the only answer, because there's so many negative things to tie into. They're all over the place, as you said. And so I try not to think it is scary, because then I'm tying into the fear. I just think of who I am and what I'm doing to the people near me. And that makes a difference.
Exactly. Show your book again, please.
Okay. And you see?
House of Power, Life of Light. Yeah, great. And there you have introduced a lot of these methods.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So I thank you so much, Jill, for coming. It was such a pleasure, and you always bring a lot of interesting points to the table. Love having you here. And is there anything that you would like to add that is important that we haven't touched on?
Oh, I don't know. Let the music heal you. Your body will be attracted to music that it needs. You can get energies and frequencies, like the frequencies of glutathione and broccoli, and that can fuel your body by listening. So pay attention to your feelings and your music. And to me, this book, it's all about music in the home, because I'm beginning to hear it. You know, like if I have a picture in the wrong place, it sounds discordant, because I'm starting to hear the waves. And
Oh,
so
okay.
find your beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Too, and stay in it if you can.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, guys, that was it. Night Flight for today with the wonderful Jill Mattson, and we see you all next time. Until then, stay safe and sound.
Thank you.